Good evening and welcome to Red Mist TV. The transfer window has slammed shut and there isn't much to talk about from the Manchester United perspective. Meanwhile, Liverpool, having had the transfer window close on them, have had a fantastic summer in pre-season and in their transfer dealings. Jose Mourinho gave his first Premier League press conference of the season today, discussing the transfer window and also the prospects of the season ahead. Didn't give too much of a positive note to the fans. Barry, what's your take on the Jose Mourinho attitude and the mentality he's putting across at the minute?
I think there's a huge disconnect at the club, and I think Jose is voicing that. I don't think that that's going to add stability to what he's trying to put across on the pitch. I think it's creating negativity both at the training ground and particularly amongst fans. Fans now getting on the back of the manager. The manager needs to manage the situation. The clue's in the title. Pochettino at Spurs today, he's basically said, look, this window, it's proved to be too expensive. It's difficult to get people in given that it's a World Cup summer. It's not necessarily the environment that teams would want to compete in. So they've chosen maybe not to, go after the big name signings. But he's been open and honest about that. Jose, meanwhile, has been, he's basically sold his board out, hasn't he?
And some of the players as well. Guys, we're live on YouTube. This video will be posted live as a recorded video on Facebook afterwards. So if you're joining us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to our channel and you hit the bell icon. That means you'll get notifications of when our next videos are going out. Make sure you've got the live chat function enabled. You'll see that on the right-hand side of your screen. Any comments that come through, we'll talk to you and talk to Barry about them. But you are right, Barry, and we've actually been inundated with friends and subscribers of ours this week. We've actually got two fan preview videos that we're going to show. But the overall mood from Jose Mourinho at his press conference today, it has been the story of the summer. It just hasn't made for great viewing or reading. And what he said today in the press conference, it absolutely blown my mind. Some of it I agree with. He says that, we're making teams, we being the media, he's accusing the media of making teams who have finished 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th look like title winners and Champions League winners. But he made an absolutely outrageous claim with regards to his personal accomplishments. And we're just going to pull this video in and let everyone listen to it, because I don't really understand why Jose believes that he's got to make these pretty outrageous claims as we're going into the start of the new season. We know the transfer window hasn't gone well for Man United, but if you look at if you look down to London and Tottenham Hotspur, where it hasn't gone well for them either, what Pochettino says is, look, transfer window's just crazy. The World Cup has kind of put everyone on the back foot in terms of transfer dealings. What Jose says is, listen, I've given a list of 5 or 6 players to the chief executive. Now it's his job.
Yeah.
That creating that disconnect, as you say. Then talking about the season ahead and this kind of air of negativity. This is what Jose Mourinho had to say to one of the reporters in the press conference today.
My view is that first of all, it's difficult for me to believe that we finish second. When I listen, when I read, not much, but sometimes I do, it's difficult to believe that we finish second, because you are capable of make people that finish second look like they were relegated, and you are capable of people that win nothing, finish below us, and you make them look like serial winners. So it's difficult for me to understand or to feel or to believe that we finish second, which I keep saying that and sometimes it's also difficult to believe that I won 8 championships and 3 Premier Leagues, but I keep saying and thinking and feeling that the second position last season was one of my biggest achievements in the game.
He can't actually mean that. He can't. Finishing second for Manchester United. When did it ever become acceptable for Manchester United to finish second? Look, we know that it was a mess under Moyes. Van Gaal was kind of like a tiny bit of progress, but really he actually set the club back with a really bad transfer window or two. But when was it ever? So we know the club has to rebuild, but when was it ever acceptable for Man United to say that second place is okay?
As a non-Man United fan, as a Liverpool fan looking in, what that says to me is he is taking pride out of the fact that he inherited a team, a squad, and it wasn't his necessarily. Over time he's had a chance to mould that, but what he's saying is the personnel that I have on board shouldn't be finishing second in the league. That's as simple as I can put that. That is what he's saying to me.
Yeah, so he's saying that this bag of spanners that he's inherited wouldn't finish second if it wasn't for him.
That's exactly it.
So he's bought Pogba £89 million. Lukaku, 75 million was Lukaku.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, okay, was a free, but he's costing billions a week in wages. He has signed 2 central defenders, Bailly and Lindelof. He's now toys out of the pram because he didn't get Alderweireld, Maguire, Yerry Mina, who signed for Everton. Is that right?
Just as we came on air, that story has just been confirmed. So Everton have travelled to Barcelona, and they've signed a deal for Yerry Mina. £28.5 million we're led to believe. So Manchester United could have had him, surely.
But that says to me that we either weren't in for him, or with all due respect to Everton, why are we competing with Everton for transfers? They should be way down the pecking order. And if they're picking up a defender for £28 million, which in today's money is a decent player, that's the craziness of the transfer window. Why are we even competing with Everton? This is Manchester United. Can I also say, whatever happened to managers making players better? Pep Guardiola has gone to Manchester City. He has definitely made players better. De Bruyne is a better player. Sterling particularly comes to mind. He's a better player. So Jose's saying, gave a list of 5 or 6 names to the chief executive. Didn't sign any of them. So it's going to be difficult this season.
It's just being very cutthroat. What he's saying is, football is a business nowadays. Big money wins prizes, and therefore, if you don't invest, this is what I'm translating from his language and from what he said. I've said to the board to invest in these players. We haven't invested, and therefore don't expect much this season. It's going to be difficult, he says.
Yeah, which is literally what he said.
Yeah.
What message does that send to the players that second place is one of his best ever achievements? What is that? If you're a player and you're eating every word that he says, what damage does that do to you?
It's demotivating is an understatement. As a player, Manchester United want to win the league. The club wants to win the league. To actually say that today is actually patronising.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have said a couple of times on this show, Jose Mourinho has done a good job at Manchester United. He's had a war chest, in terms of funding. And okay, so that means he hasn't done an exceptional job. An exceptional job is like Ranieri winning the Premier League on a budget with Leicester. A good job is having multi-millions to spend and putting on the board Manchester United's best points tally since Ferguson retired, 81 points I think we got, and our top place since Ferguson retired, second place last season. That is a good job, but it's the way that this guy frames things.
Yeah.
It's his communication style, and it's not lost in translation. It's not Portuguese English. It's his overall demeanour and the way he frames things. If you're a player and you're watching that, you're thinking, I don't even know what attitude I'm supposed to take.
But I just wonder whether behind the scenes at Mourinho, he's so long in the tooth that actually he has a way to present that news to the press and to the media, who we know at the end of the day doesn't like. Does he actually take the players in either one by one or en masse and actually give them that news, but actually present it in a totally different way?
Maybe, and that is what we don't know,
yeah,
if that's going on behind the scenes, and it would be a masterstroke if it was the case. So, but we can only take out of it what we get from Jose Mourinho, and this is what we're getting, and it is so disconcerting going into the new season. Alexis Sanchez, we weren't on the air yesterday, but he says he's sort of almost like backing the manager up. Well, does he come out and say in the press, quoted in multiple red tops, as saying that Manchester United needs to sign big players? We demand that we sign big players coming into the new season. Hold on a minute. Were you not supposed to be the big player that was signed?
Yeah.
You were the coup de grace.
But there's a bit of bat padding between the manager and Mourinho, because Mourinho was the first one on the US pre-season tour to actually back up Sanchez, wasn't he? And he said, you know,
the poor man Sanchez.
Yeah, the poor man Sanchez. So that this is reciprocal.
Yeah.
You know.
Look, we want fighting talk though from Sanchez. He's had a bad career at Manchester United so far in his 6 months, and he has looked good in pre-season. He's, along with Andreas Pereira, he's probably been the standout player on the pre-season tour. So we hope that he takes it into the match tomorrow night. But this mood that Jose is cultivating, whether it's deliberate or whether it's just
is it a ploy to get out of the club? That's the other thing.
Maybe, but there's no doubt. I mean, we've had fans contact us this week. One of them sent us in a video. It's Christopher Smith sent in a video, which we're going to play for you now. And his thoughts are kind of aligned with mine. You know, we've not told him what to say. This is his own opinion on what's happening for the season ahead. So this is what Chris had to say in terms of a wee bit of fan reaction. It's just
is it a ploy to get out of the club? That's the other thing.
Maybe, but there's no doubt. I mean, we've had fans contact us this week. One of them sent us in.
Hi Barry, hi Scott. Started the season usually full of optimism for the year ahead, but going by pre-season not looking too good, to be honest. I think we'd be lucky to get a score draw against Leicester. I think big loss would be our centre midfield. You know, the likes of Pogba haven't played in pre-season, you know, with the World Cup duties. Matic out injured. Hi Barry, hi Scott. Started the season in midfield. I know the likes full of optimism for the year ahead, but pre-season, but going by pre-season not looking too good. To be honest, I think we'd be lucky to get a score draw against Leicester. Score draw. I think big loss would be our centre midfield and upwards for the rest of the season. Pogba haven't played.
Look, you know, I don't think that's different from many other Manchester United fans that you're going to come across worried about the season ahead. Worried because of the messages that are being communicated by the manager. And, you know, he almost, you know, he's taking the words out of my mouth, really, that people are worried and people are concerned. It shouldn't be like this, you know, because we are trending in the right direction. You know, really good performance in the Premier League last season. Okay, lost the FA Cup final, which was a bit of a blow, but, you know, it doesn't really matter because it's not like winning the FA Cup actually gets you anywhere. It's not like it gets you a Champions League space or anything like that. You know, you ask Spurs, who finished 4th, would you swap your season with Chelsea, who finished 5th and won the FA Cup? Not a chance, even though Spurs are allegedly craving silverware to sort of validate the Pochettino era. They would never ever swap. Daniel Levy would never swap 4th with 5th in the FA Cup. But so, apart from the FA Cup final defeat for Man United, it should be fine.
It's great for me looking on as a Liverpool fan. You know, and I've got lots of friends who support Manchester United. They will still retain that, as you will, you know, element of we are Manchester United. You know, we're going to finish in the top 4, whether you like it or not. It's just a matter of which position. But when that sort of hesitation creeps into the thoughts of fans, and then that translates into it going onto the pitch as well for Manchester United, it gives Liverpool supporters lots, lots of optimism. So it does, because if you're starting to doubt your club, you're definitely doubting your manager. That you know, everyone's doubting him.
Yeah.
Can he pull it out of the bag this season? I'm not sure. Transfer window wise, it's been an absolute mess for Manchester United. Another great situation for Liverpool.
And just on that note, you know, we if you believe what you read, which probably shouldn't, you know, Godin was a last minute deal today.
32-year-old.
Yeah, but that's just him upselling his contract at Atletico Madrid. You know, Rojo apparently was on the brink before the transfer window closed. Again, we don't know if there's been any developments on that. Of course, news could break after the window closes at 5 p.m. Rojo was apparently on his way out to Everton. One of those players where will we remember that he was actually ever at Manchester United? So. You know, one of those ones, a bit like Dali Blind, although I kind of liked him whenever he played at left back. It's just, you know, then you've had the sort of the Alderweireld saga that has kind of reminded me of the Schneider saga of 5 or 6 years ago. It seemed to never end.
But Harry Maguire's the biggest one. He's the biggest one.
You know.
So Leicester actually signed a 6'4" centre half today from Zagreb, So again,
expecting him to
that set the wheels in motion, didn't it? That, well, they're bringing somebody else in along with Evans, so they must have plans for Maguire. But the transfer window's shut.
And it's fascinating because football often deals up these sort of lovely conundrums. Is that the player that a team has been, on the hunt for, didn't work out. His very first game or next game is against that very team, and obviously Harry Maguire will be at Old Trafford.
Well, did you hear
wearing
the
one
manager?
shirt or the other?
Did you hear the manager this evening
saying that he'll be at Old Trafford, but he'll be wearing our shirt.
Yeah,
very good. And he doesn't look like he's got any comedy, Claude Puel, but that was good. That was very dry. Look, the best bit of transfer business for Manchester United is Real Madrid signing Courtois, because finally we can say that. Hopefully that is now the De Gea transfer to Real Madrid forever put to bed.
I can't see him going now. I think he'd probably stay at the club for as long as he remains a top class keeper. It's unfortunate for me as a Liverpool fan. He's a guy who I doubted at the start. I watched him the first 6 months and thought, goodness me, they've got their hands in a real wrong-un here. And season after season, he's improved and improved to the colossus that he really is.
He is amazing. So. He's amazing. But I think it was maybe I actually don't know, but we'll ask our subscribers if they know. Was it Jose Mourinho who put Courtois out on loan from Chelsea in the first place? Because the reason why Courtois has moved to Real Madrid is when he was first out on loan at Atletico Madrid, he met his now wife, who is from Madrid. So she, I think, and they, as a family, have always wanted to go back to Madrid. So if it was Jose who originally put Courtois out on loan as Chelsea manager, masterstroke, because now it has surely secured David De Gea's services for United for his career.
One word from me on Courtois' behaviour was absolutely awful. It was bad. So basically what you say is you're not going back to work. You don't turn up for the first 2 training sessions. You just go, no, I'm not going back. To engineer your move to Madrid, kissing the badge today, kissing the Real Madrid badge as well. So, to me it's a bit
disrespectful to the club.
It's disrespectful to Chelsea and to everything that he's, kind of stood for and done in the past. And really and truly, the World Cup has, I suppose, put him under the spotlight as well. And, his move has come on the back of that as well. So it's one of those things. Chelsea have been forced into signing now. Alisson, the Liverpool keeper, isn't now the world's dearest goalkeeper.
These are heady times.
How long did that last? It lasted about
days.
2 weeks or something, a week or something
absolutely.
like that. So they've signed someone for £70 million. So strange times.
But across the M60 or the M62 or whatever, over to Liverpool, and the mood, it's just night and day compared to Man United going into the first Premier League weekend of the season. Have you ever felt as optimistic as this?
No, not.
If setting aside the schadenfreude of watching the misery at Man United, have you ever felt as optimistic going into a season like this?
Schadenfreude, especially as Manchester United are concerned. The 4-1 win in pre-season as well helped, albeit it was a fringe United side. But no, this season, for the first time in about 4 or 5 years, I really am buoyant going into a new season. 9 games, 7 wins, 1 draw and just 1 defeat to Dortmund in pre-season. We've scored 27, conceded 8 goals. All round, we've looked so good across the pitch with so many options. We've now got 2 11s that we could potentially put out. Now, this side is one that I picked as being my strongest.
Yeah, but I think you're going to get some heat for this, if I'm honest.
I am going to, but look, that's why we're here, and that's why we want your comments.
So this is what you think is the strongest team as it stands. This will evolve over the season.
So what I've done is we're not considering Oxlade-Chamberlain because he's out for the majority.
Which
of
is
the
a real
season.
shame. Yeah.
He would be in there for me. However, at this minute in time, the big decision I have made is that Shaqiri has impressed me so much in pre-season that actually I think he warrants a place in the starting 11.
Yeah.
That would be in place of Fabinho. Klopp this week has been quoted as saying that he thinks that Fabinho has struggled since he's come. Now, it's only early stages.
Very good, yeah.
He missed a penalty the other night as well.
Yeah,
against
Torino.
So actually there was a chance.
What was he taking it for?
I'm not sure. It doesn't look like somebody's going to come up and slot it into the top corner, and I'm sure. So I've gone with Shaqiri. Henderson I see as playing a very combative role.
He's
in
still
midfield.
captain, isn't he?
He's the captain. That's why he's going to slot back in. And actually, there's a good chance that despite not having a lot of game time under his belt since he returned from the World Cup, Klopp actually says that his fitness is right up there with the guys who have returned weeks ago. So actually, there's a good chance he may start against West Ham.
That shouldn't come as a surprise. You know, he's a workhorse of a player.
No, so I've gone Keita in midfield, and then the three up front, they pick themselves really.
Yeah. 9,
Now,
10, 11.
the other big talking point is, and I will get grief for this, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the big potential up-and-coming star at right back. I used to play right back myself. I kind of know what it takes. Not quite to that standard, but I know what one looks like. So I do. He's still to fill out a bit. He's good going forward. He's still a bit to improve defensively for me. But all in all, what I'm saying is Klein is the more experienced, and if I were Klopp, I would go with Klein to start the season. Plus the fact that Trent Alexander-Arnold is just back into training as well. Yeah. So I don't know. I could be wrong there. Van Dijk and Lovren, then the world's best centre half. He's going to play alongside.
Who's Lovren?
Yeah. And Robertson at left back, because I do not want to see Moreno about Anfield this season. That's just me.
And you're definitely picking that goalkeeper.
I don't think we could have spent 66 million quid and gone with Karius, who made so many boobs last season.
After that Napoli match, we're picking the goalkeeper. We're happy with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, but again, I'm kind of swimming against the tide here insofar as a lot of Liverpool, fanzines came out following
you took some heat for your took some heat for
following
your
that, and I mean, look. If you're a goalkeeper,
I thought it was a bad.
I want him to play a certain way, and he didn't inspire me at all. He had one chance diving low to his right, and he fumbled it out for a corner. I think what some of the Liverpool fans got excited about was the fact that he was acting as a second sweeper in there. And yes, this is modern football. This is what it's become, but he was taking too many chances for me.
His basics weren't good. He wasn't catching the ball well. He wasn't commanding the penalty area.
Yeah.
First half, he had a lot of misplaced passes that were simple. And as you say, he hit a couple of chippy passes that were quite risky. So look, I think the best thing for Alisson was that it was a pre-season match. And let's get it all out of your system before the season starts.
Very much so.
And we've talked before that the Liverpool goalkeeping jersey, which did happen at Man United a few years ago, maybe turn of the century, whenever Peter Schmeichel retired or went to Sporting Lisbon. It's a story. The Liverpool goalkeeper's jersey is a story, and he needs to go in 4 or 5 games with a rock solid performance. Doesn't matter if he keeps 5 clean sheets on the belt. That's not what we're asking him to do. It's just a matter of him going in and not creating another story for himself. You actually just called up Skype there. We're trying to get Nicola McCarthy on the line. This is massive Manchester United fan who is a sports journalist, sports presenter, starting her own podcast soon, and actually used to work for Manchester City TV. I mean, if that's not red mist, I don't know what is. Man United fan working for Manchester City. We'll ask her all about that and how that worked for as many years as it did. But also we've had another fan video that came in from one of the Liverpool supporters, and it'll be really interesting to hear what he has to say, because I think this is another Northern Irish Premier League fan who's a massive Liverpool fan. He's going to be like-minded to Chris Smith, other than the fact that they support different teams. But you're going to see probably a totally different mood from this guy.
Very much so. Colin McClarty.
Thanks for sending this in.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. And please do keep your videos coming in as well. We want to show them this season. Keep your comments coming. And,
so it's that time of year again when all us football fans get ready for the new Premier League season. I think it's a time when after this pre-season that Liverpool fans can be fairly optimistic about the season ahead. More so because we've filled the problem area with signing Alisson Becker as our #1 goalkeeper. I think that was a much needed signing. Results wise, it's very hard to judge in pre-season how we've done, but we've had a few good results. Last night against Torino was definitely a good result, because we have a team that will likely start at the weekend. Where will we finish? I think we'll comfortably finish in the top 4, and hopefully go to second. I think we're not quite there yet, but stepping stone, second place would be good for me.
It's interesting, you know, is that setting the bar a wee bit too low? Really? Would
no,
top four be good enough?
It's being realistic. I don't think you can support Liverpool, and Colin's about the same vintage as myself. We used to, you know, see Liverpool particularly, you know, dominate in the 80s, and then we've kind of lost our way as far as the consistency that is needed to win a league campaign is concerned. So I mean, everything that Colin has said there, I think we'll finish second this season. That's the aim.
Yeah, you said that before.
The aim should obviously be to win the league, but you know, you've got to be honest with yourself. I think Liverpool are probably one or two players short. Plus, you also need to give the squad time and players time to acclimatise to, you know, the new training ground, you know, to the other people in the team, to the egos, to the personalities. So all in all, like Colin, I'm very optimistic. I think we'll finish top four, and I think second place could be ours.
So the pressing matter for Man United is that Leicester's tomorrow night. The season starts. It's a bit weird having an opening game of the season on a Friday night. I'm not sure if I'm a massive fan of that. We know Jose Mourinho isn't, because we've a tank of players out from the World Cup or whatever the situation is. So we've tried to have a go based on what he said today. So we know today from Jose's press conference that Herrera's injured, we know Valencia's injured, we know Dalot's injured, and we know Bailly's injured. So that does limit the signings defensively, particularly, that we're going to see play tomorrow night. He also has alluded to the fact that he's taking the first 3 games of the season as one block. So and then the international break comes. So we play Leicester tomorrow, we then go to Brighton, and then we play Spurs, and then there's the international break. He kind of suggested that the World Cup stars, in inverted commas, might not play until after the international break. So that could be your Pogba's and your Lukaku's, and also we know that Nemanja Matic is not fit either. So coming up with the best kind of lineup, predicted 11 for tomorrow, I've arrived at this, and I think it's until we get the measure of Jose Mourinho this season and who's in favour and who's not, it's very, very difficult to predict the 11. I actually think he is going to throw Lukaku in, because he is worried about this game, and he's going to need his star striker to put the ball in the back of the net if we need, even if he's not 100% fit. I think he'll take a chance on Lukaku. Like, running through the team, obviously we don't have Valencia, we don't have Dalot, so if Jose's going to play a back 4, this is the most obvious solution based on pre-season I can say.
I am flabbergasted, and I said this to you, because Jones and Smalling throughout this pre-season, the big issue for Manchester United is at the centre of defence, and the guys have been, they've hardly even had any game time. Yes, they've been involved in the internationals. However, if you're saying to me that you're going into the new season and I'm looking at Jones and Smalling, and every single Manchester United friend of mine is saying, my goodness, we need particularly Smalling out of the club.
Yeah.
What does that say about our intentions for this year?
As the lack of progress based on the investment already made, which is staggering me. Ashley Young, who did have a good season last year for Man United, had gotten to the England squad and had a decent World Cup. It's not that I have something in for Ashley Young, it's just, is that progress? Is that going forward? That back 4, okay, Shaw didn't get much of a game last season, but if you swap him with Young and play Valencia at right back, that back 4 hasn't been good enough to win the league for the last 2 years. So another year older, why is it going to be good enough this year? This is actually how I wouldn't set up. I'll show how I would set up in a little minute.
But I think Vardy could cause some problems in there.
Yeah, but Vardy's a good player,
and
he's just
in the opening game, because he'd have a wee bit too much pace, I think.
And I think Vardy enjoys the fact that he's not as high profile as he was a couple of years ago when Leicester won the league. He's just now a good Premier League centre forward. He's in his early 30s, nothing to lose, he'll have a go. And he does play in that kind of really lovely, fearless kind of way. So look, I've put, in midfield, we've seen Fred and Pereira play centre midfield. We take it from Jose Mourinho that Matic is obviously out, Pogba probably isn't going to play, and Herrera's injured. So that kind of leaves us with Fred and Pereira. Maybe McTominay would go in there. I've put Juan Mata in the team, not because I would pick him, because I just think, as much as I like the guy, you can't get rid of him. You know, he's there all the time. Nothing seems to change. You know, so we've put Juan Mata in the team. Sanchez, we know, is going to play every game, no matter how effective he is or how ineffective he is. And Rashford, I think we'll get a game subject to fitness because Jose's made this big call in giving him the number 10 shirt. Very difficult to give him the number 10 shirt and then put him out of the team. The other option in there who might get a game is Lingard. I'm not sure where he's at in his
No
fitness.
Herrera either?
Herrera's injured, as Jose said, he's not in my team. But Jose played 3 at the back against Real Madrid in pre-season, which is interesting because I've actually been a major advocate of that formation since around in November time last year. And he went away from it for whatever reason. You know, he could. You know, it's up to him really. But he did say against Real Madrid, even though in the 2-1 win, that's not a go-to formation for him because he just played 3 at the back to win that match. So I wonder if it's possible that he'll look at the fact that I don't have Bailly, I don't have Valencia, and I don't have Dalot, and I didn't get the central defenders in a transfer window that I wanted. But Luke Shaw's had a good pre-season, and Ashley Young is coming back from a World Cup to dubious fitness. So another way Jose could do it, and I would actually prefer to see something like this, and I have put Lingard in this version of the lineup, is something like that. I'm starting to chirp on a wee bit about 3-4-3. You know, maybe I need to let it go a wee bit, but I really did see the signs that this was working. It's funny, this formation in the Premier League has been introduced successfully for the first time under Antonio Conte. That's why I'm a wee bit surprised that Chelsea were so keen to get rid of Conte. I thought he brought an innovative product to the Premier League, making 3-4-3 work. Louis van Gaal tried to put 3-4-3 in the first game against Manchester United and lost, and it was a shambles. Conte came in, made a real success of it. He's obviously had experience with it at the national team for Italy and at Juventus. Then what happened was really weird, something weird. So all of a sudden, other Premier League managers started copying it. Like Wenger copied it. Then Jose Mourinho implemented it. And I think Jose's ego got the better of him to say, I can't be seen to be copying Antonio Conte under any circumstances, one of my arch nemesis. So he went back to it. He went back to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or whatever you want to call it. But this was working. And I wonder if we play 3 centre-halves. I've put Lindelof in because we are going to have to find a centre-half. Presumably Rocco isn't going to play because he was nearly out the door. And we obviously don't have Bailly. So we could go with that back 3, which gives Shaw and whatever wing back we're going to play further up the pitch. That could be easily Ashley Young. I would prefer it not to be. So Lingard, who has played that right wing back role before, it's not his best position, but he can do a very good job there. And it means that the front 3 can remain intact from my original predicted lineup, and they get more of just a license to be centre forwards. Sanchez loves that situation because he wants to play on the left.
And
anyway,
cut in,
but he doesn't want the responsibility of having to go back if he's playing in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. So look, guys, let us know what you think. That's where I see it being for Man United. I think that team is going to be thereabouts. Formation-wise, that's what I would go with, but I do think Jose is going to go 4-2-3-1. And tomorrow night, I have it down as a score draw. I've got it down as 1 each. I think it's going to be a struggle.
I don't know. I think United, yes, they may struggle in the early stages, but I think United will grind out a 1-0. Just to bring you up to speed as well with the transfer deadlines, the Premier League is presently processing 10 deal sheets, and effectively that gives clubs an additional 2 hours to complete their transfer deals. So it's 7 o'clock rather than 5 o'clock in those circumstances.
Manchester United could end up with 5 central defenders. You just don't know what's going to happen.
So for Liverpool, interestingly, Danny Ings, we didn't talk about him earlier on, but he could well go to Southampton on a season-long loan deal. Liverpool, I think at this stage would prefer to offload him, given the other players that we've brought in and the options that we have. We look at Sturridge, who's returned like a new player for me, scored 6 goals in pre-season.
Shame for Ings, one joke I can see is that it's rare that player moves in that direction between the two clubs? Normally you're trying to buy out Southampton.
Yeah, it hasn't been that fruitful for us over the years either, so I don't know why we've kind of kept following that pattern time and time again.
Van Dijk looks the one, doesn't he?
The one.
He looks
the one.
Yeah. Well, Lallana's a good player. He's going to factor if he gets back to fitness. It's a shame for Danny Ings because I watched him against West Brom last season, which is one of his main comeback games. I think he scored twice, devastating in the box. And you know, he's one of those players that could have been a really good player for Liverpool, and just injuries robbed him of that, and he didn't get his time. You know, injuries have robbed Daniel Sturridge, in my opinion, but he did have his time, which was the season he should have won the league. You want to talk about that yet? No, you don't want to. You want to talk?
No,
about
it's
that?
fine. But I'll talk about Sturridge, and I don't want to harbour or labour the point, but Sturridge, he's returned with what looks like a different outlook on his position at Liverpool, and I just hope that Klopp is able to get the best out of him this season. He has sort of been introduced to second halves during the pre-season games. Will he be content in doing that? That is where the skill will come in, both between Klopp, Shaqiri and Sturridge. I think those two guys will invariably find themselves on the bench coming on for the last 20-25 minutes. These are two big egos as well, so you know, be interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about Jurgen Klopp, if you compare him to Jose Mourinho, is from what we are consuming and what we're seeing, the players are bought into it at Liverpool. And if there's going to be any manager that's going to keep a load of fringe players and potentially, you know, a squad of 24 first-team players in terms of their ability happy, it's going to be Jurgen Klopp. So, as you say, Sturridge, if he was a few years younger, I'd say he'd be away. He's saying, I need to play football. We did it at Chelsea, Man City, all that kind of stuff. You know, he needs to play football, so I'm away. But now he's in the later stages of his 20s. He is going to, I think, be more content with a super sub role. And maybe he gets in the League Cup team, maybe he gets in the FA Cup team, because those competitions don't really matter. You know, maybe he gets in those teams.
They don't matter unless you win them as United.
It's just, yeah. It's kind of just, look, it's great to win them, isn't it? But, you know, there's no consequences of not winning them. You know, there's no what's the
Premier League and Champions League, and that's it.
It's sadly what it's all about. And if anyone's got a problem with that, we all agreed to this whenever the Premier League came in 26 years ago or whatever. We all paid for our Sky Sports subscriptions. When the Premier League sold it all to them, we then paid for our Setanta subscriptions. Now we're paying for our BT subscriptions. That is why those other competitions have fallen by the wayside. The stakes, the money, the resources, the brand, the coverage, all that stuff is in the Premier League. And if people are kind of getting uppity about the fact that, well, it really matters the FA Cup because it's a tradition and blah, 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 it doesn't matter. And you're the ones that are responsible for that, because we're the ones that drank in the Premier League.
That's it.
And we're going to drink it in for another season.
We are. We're looking forward to it. Just on that as well, you talk about branding. Under here I've got my Liverpool third top for this season. We're running a competition across our Facebook platform.
We absolutely are.
Yeah, you can choose either an authentic Liverpool or Manchester United top. All you've got to do is to go onto our Facebook, Red Mist TV Facebook page, like that particular post and comment who you would get on the back, which number, what name, and that competition runs throughout all of August, isn't that right?
Right to the end of August, and we'll draw the winner, I think it's on Monday the 3rd of September, so get in touch with us, get involved with the show, because we're going to post this video on our Facebook stream after it records onto YouTube. You're still able to comment on YouTube after it is recorded, and you're able to comment on Facebook. We just want to hear what you guys have to say. We love the fact that we've got so much interaction with the show. People are sending us videos and stuff of what their views are. And we are excited for the Premier League season ahead. It's so funny that we've started this channel, and we haven't done this deliberately, but the mood between the two clubs is totally different. Now, you wait till the end of August when the international break comes. If Man United have 9 points on the board and Liverpool only have 4, it's just going to, it can tip so quickly.
It's strange because Liverpool ended the season with a disappointing defeat in the Champions League final, and you know, you could then things could have gone very differently. We could have had that, I suppose, spill over into pre-season and the new campaign as kind of like a bit of a hangover. If anything, I think it'll spur us on, because we've actually added to what was a decent squad, and I think that will make fans sit up and listen and say, look, the board are investing, our manager's on board, the players are signed up, and we're looking across at our neighbours Manchester United, and things aren't going so well at the minute. Now, 2-3 weeks down the line, who knows?
Who knows? Look, we struggled to get Nicola McCarthy on. She's just texted me to say that the BBC phoned her, so that just shows you what her priorities are. We're going to get Nicola on the next show, or just as soon as possible, because she can provide such a great insight into what happens in the Premier League teams in Manchester. But look, that's it for now. We'll be back with a preview, a half-time and a full-time review of the Manchester United versus Leicester City match tomorrow night, as the Premier League season really gets back underway.
I can't wait, I'm buzzing.
See you guys then.